The next one was Lisa.
Signed up to the call to not launch the offensive in Rafah.
The 26 expressed its support to this statement and produced a new one, which is basically the same one that I issued during the weekend, but with an additional statement, additional paragraph, which is to require an immediate humanitarian pause that would lead to a sustainable ceasefire, to the unconditional release of hostages, and to the provision of humanitarian assistance.
The fund for arms, you said that other countries outside the EU could...
For the rest, it's basically the same statement, where we ask to the Israeli government not to take military action in Rafah, because that would worsen an already catastrophic humanitarian situation and prevent the urgently needed provision of basic services and humanitarian assistance.
Israel y la petición del ministro español José Manuel Álvarez de que en un mes...
We discussed about the 13 sanctions package. I hope it will be approved before the 24th of February. We continue discussing the use of extraordinary revenue generated by the investment of Russia assets which are immobilized in the European Union. The purpose is to use them to contribute to Ukraine reconstruction, but is still not a full agreement in order to fully implement this decision.
Opposition politicians and their family members in Russia, for example, would you call on member states to offer?
The interpreters, have a nice evening, everyone. Bye.
Oh, yes.
The only solution consistent with international law is for this illegal occupation to come to an immediate, unconditional, and total end. As you affirmed 20 years ago, the Palestinian people have the right to self-determination. It is an erga omnes right. It is non-negotiable, non-derogable. No occupying power, including Israel, can be granted a perpetual veto over the rights of the people it occupies. Legal consequences that follow from Israel's grave and ongoing
Today marks the start of historic proceedings at the International Court of Justice. The entirety of Israel's colonial occupation regime is on trial today. Not just the apartheid, colonization and persecution by which it is brutally imposing it on the Palestinian people. An unprecedented number of countries are participating in the proceedings, taking a stand for justice and peace. This is a clear reflection of the global concerns and calls to bring an end to this abhorrent illegal regime immediately and unconditionally.
Shown in the second map. With the Nakba that ensued, over 2/3 of our people were systematically and forcibly expelled by Israel. There is no safe haven. It means discrimination, both colonialism and apartheid. There are those
We've over 1.5 million people crowded into a very small corner of Gaza. They're weary. They're exhausted from moving from the north to the centre and on to the south of Gaza. They have nowhere else to go. There are thousands of children who have been without school for months. The trauma that they have gone through is extraordinary. How can anyone contemplate adding to that trauma? And that is beyond me. It is simply an inhumane act and would be an inhumane act. That the hostages should be released and Hamas should lay down its arms. What Hamas is doing is absolutely unacceptable, and we've condemned Hamas's activities from the beginning. But the world is shocked, and the people on the ground and out in the streets are shocked at the level of inhumanity that's now happening within Gaza itself.
The most important thing would be that Hamas would lay down its weapons. In a situation where this is not the case yet, I made very clear that Israel has the right of self-defense but has to comply with international humanitarian law. And in a situation where over 1 million people went down to the south of Gaza because the IDF told them so, they cannot just disappear in the sky, and therefore it needs protection for those people. It needs humanitarian protection. The people have to go home, should be allowed to go back home in the north, and for all of that we need a humanitarian ceasefire, and this is what we are heavily working on. Thank you very much.
The United Nations has been very clear that currently an extension of military operation in Rafah will have very dire humanitarian consequences for the innocent civilians that are there. At the same time, we hear very clearly, of course, the different voices from the Israeli War Cabinet, their intent to proceed. The timing seems to be a matter of discussion.